odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders scalp shield technology.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Madden Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients. Call T. Madden Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and for all those who's listening and watching it from around the world. And we are now live from the corner of Dalton and Lynch Street. It's the show where we take you inside the game before the game begins. It's the Pregame with your host, Charles Bishop and Neely. So get ready, because we pregame harder than the other show's party. It's the Pregame.
And welcome into the Saturday game day edition of the Pregame Show. It's Bishop, it's Neely, and we are coming to you live from Mobile, Alabama, where this team continues to chase history. Neely, this Jackson State Tiger team comes in 9-0, looking to go 10-0.
9-0, first time in school history, program history, and we have been playing football since 1911. The first time we played a football game, and this is the first time that we have been 9-0, Chuck, in school history. It is a pivotal moment in chasing greatness every time we add to it, and looking to go 10-0 down here in Mobile and just keep stacking histories, stacking chips, stacking major memories made in this program.
Well, I tell you what, Jackson State coming off of a huge win over Texas Southern last week, 41-14. Neely, you know, we were sitting in team meeting last night. Some of the themes, consistent themes that came up were consistent, complacent, dominate, finish. When we take a look at that Texas Southern game, we started out 3 touchdowns there in the first quarter. Then, like you mentioned on Wednesday, kind of hit a little lull there and then went ahead and finished, dominated, and then finished things out. Tigers looking to do the same thing again here today against Alabama A&M without the complacent part.
Yeah, and that's going to be the focus of the day, is to start fast, which we did at Texas Southern, put up 21 points in the first quarter. However, it was a 0-0 quarter in the second, and that got to complacency. That got to a lack of focus. That got to feeling like this is easier than it is, and not really dialing down and making a conscious effort to score another 21 like you did in the first quarter from an execution standpoint. And so the players have committed themselves this week and last night team meetings to stand up and make some verbal commitments in front of the group of what they're going to do all game long, each quarter, each possession, each rep that they're on the field. So this is going to be one of those games where we see, all right, can we really put it together for 4 quarters? And what I look, Chuck, you know me well. What I like to look for is what are those averages? What the other team comes in with and what we do well and how it stacks up. And we did well against Texas Southern. They were coming in averaging 4.1 on the run, and we held them to just right around 3. Same thing with their passing efforts. We took away what they did well against other opponents. When we're facing a team this evening, 4 p.m. kickoff here in Mobile, we're facing a team that just frankly, there's not a lot of things that they do well. So it's gift wrap for us. They don't have a deep threat receiver. They don't have a running back that's at 2,000 yards. Some of those things we just got to really hone in. So this is a game, Chuck, that if we play our style of football, we play mistake-free as in turnovers, mistake-free as in drive-killing penalties. This one can be that game where you go 21-21, 21-21.
Yeah, and like you said, that was the theme. Go out and go dominate today. This is going to be a huge game for our Jackson State Tigers in terms of keeping that momentum going. Like you mentioned, historic start to this season. We've never been 9-0, looking to go 10-0 today. But when we take a look
Chuck,
back,
wait a minute, Chuck. Before we look back, let's look way back. I want people to understand this.
The late, great, revered W.C. Gordon never went 9-0.
Never went 9-0. Never went 9-0.
James Big Daddy Carson never went 9-0.
Never went 9-0.
Big John Merritt never went 9-0.
Big John never went 9-0.
Those teams from the 70s that had 9 and 10 players drafted never went 9-0.
Never won 9-0. Even the Bob Hill years, Jackson State football never.
T.B. Ellis never went 9-0.
T.B. Ellis never went 9-0. No, he did not.
But Deion Sanders has gone 9-0.
Yeah, Deion Sanders has gone 9-0. This is the historic. This is historic. And when we take a look at playing this game, Neely, we're here in Mobile, Alabama. When we went to a team luncheon yesterday, there to greet us was, of course, the Hall of Famer, Robert Brazile, who's a native of Mobile, Alabama. And when we take a look at, Dr. Doom and what he means to this program now, it really means something to have a Hall of Famer, the stature of Robert Brazile, that tradition of the past from those Bob Hill teams, a man who comes, from an era before that trickle of integration started coming in to HBCUs and filtered on through to PWIs. But for an era for Barbara Brazile to now, it's huge, and it's kind of symbolic when you kind of take a look at it.
It is, and it's important, and I'll keep it filthy nasty with you, Chuck. This is or was a home game for Jackson State. This game was to be taking place at the Vet Memorial Stadium in Jackson, Mississippi, and it is because of honoring Robert Brazile, because of the impact of Robert Brazile, because of what Robert Brazile means to Jackson State University and HBCU and football in general. That's why we're here playing this classic in Mobile, Alabama. It's all about Robert Brazile. And to have him there greeting the team as they arrived to the hotel, and he literally shook every single player's hand and wished them well, and even some support staff as they came through before he had to be ushered off to get ready to speak at the luncheon. So this, it's called the Gulf Coast, Classic, but for us, this is the Robert Brazile Classic. He's the reason we're here.
Oh, no doubt. And when you talk about a guy like Robert Brazile, and our fans need to know this, Robert Brazile is the precursor to Lawrence Taylor. Some who say this is the best linebacker of all time, but Robert Brazile was that stand-up linebacker, defensive end that was a rush in, that was coming off the edge, that was sort of a revolutionary with Bum Phillips and those Love You Blue era, and it goes on to Lawrence Taylor as he's coming off the edge. But Robert Brazile is the precursor to what some people say is the greatest linebacker of all time.
Yeah, I smiled when you said Bum Phillips, man, because I love assholes. And he was a great. But yeah, those defenses that he built with the Oilers around Robert Brazile, Dr. Doom, were just phenomenal. And again, man, this call it what you want, say what you want. A lot of people like, man, hey, we gave up a home game. We should be playing in Jackson, participate in this class this weekend. A lot of truth to that, but the equal truth is this is a tribute and honor to Robert Brazile. This is his hometown. We are blessed to still have a living legend with us. A lot of our greats, a lot of our Hall of Famers have been called home to glory, and he's still here and active. And what a way to salute him, to come down and participate in this class.
Yeah, I want to shout out to somebody that you always see with Robert Brazile is Vernon Perry. Vernon Perry is part of those Love You Blue era teams. 4 interceptions. I think he still has a record.
Yeah, and Calvin is always with them. Like they
yeah. Yes, they do. No doubt about it. Leon Gray was another one on those Love You Blue era Oiler teams, but all guys that are Jackson State ties. So definitely want to make sure that we put that history out for our Jackson State fan base. Let's take a look back at last week when we take a look back at Jackson State and their win over Texas Southern. Offensive side of the ball, Shedeur Sanders had another huge game. Heisman Trophy Walter Payton Award candidate. He passed for 252 yards. 4 touchdowns, 3 passing, 1 rushing in that win. That was a huge game for Shedeur last week.
I mean, it's broken record time, man. It just is what it is by now.
Yeah,
I bumped into some people. I'm sitting out on the patio, Chuck, at the Alumni Hotel, the Hilton Garden Inn downtown, right by the park, downtown Mobile. Light little shower just started a little while ago. No rain for this evening in the forecast, but bumped into some people and they were like, "Hey, man, what do you think we're gonna do tomorrow? What do you think?" At some point, man, are we gonna believe?
Yeah,
it is 1-0 could be an accident, 3-0 could be a fluke, 9 and damn Chuck. You got a good team.
You got a real good team.
You got a good team that you're 9-0. And we're taking these games one game at a time. And so we're trying to go 1-0 again for the 10th time. But as it relates to Stuart Sanders' performance, I remember when we started the Heisman talk, the buzz for it, which, let me rewind a second, Chuck. That's actually started with Robert Brazile at the Celebration Bowl last year. When he talked about everything that Jackson State has accomplished football-wise, but one thing we haven't had is a person to hold up the Heisman Trophy. And he pointed out then that this guy, this freshman, before he's done, could be the one to do it. One season later, or at the start of the sophomore season, the numbers justified. Even the national polls, Robert Griffin's poll for ESPN now has to do, I think, around 6th or 7th in that discussion, but in the discussion. So when you hear those numbers from Texas Southern and look at the pass game numbers, man, when a guy does something 9 times in a row, that ain't no accident.
Right, exactly. Like you said, it's broken record time. He is getting it done week in, week out. Hey, another broken record. Here's another one. Sevion Wilkinson, 26 carries, 214 yards last week. To not get a lot of run in that first game, he's come on like gangbusters since the Tennessee State game, and he's nearing 1,000 yards. I believe he's 97 yards away from 1,000 yards, looking to go out and go get that 97 yards today to go over 1,000. But Sevion has been a tremendous asset to this offense.
Yeah. Speaking of tremendous asset, I had to turn to the side. A beautiful lady over here just threw her leg up in there, and it got my attention, y'all. Look, that's the asset right there, boy. But, hey, 3-6 Mafia, Sevion has been a beast, man, carrying that ball. And, Chuck, I think you're right. It's somewhere between 97 and 110 yards from a 1,000-yard season. 2 games left to get it. I cannot remember, when the stats cut off, though. Like, do they go for the 4 remaining games or just for regular season games that we have? So it's just a matter of, I think, maybe 45 yards tonight, 45 yards Alcorn, and he's over 1,000 yards on the season. But there was a commitment made to him. We talked earlier in the show about people standing up making a commitment. His offensive line made a commitment tonight. Last night, they made a commitment to him that he's going to get 150 yards today.
Yeah, very poignant moment in the team meeting where offensive linemen were very adamant about making sure that he got over 1,000 yards. So I'm looking forward to a physical contest today, if you will, because these games are won in the trenches, and we have 2 of the best in terms of Jackson State's offensive line and, of course, the defensive line. So definitely wanted to make mention of that. Or take a look on the defensive side of the ball. Again, another tremendous performance from the defensive side of the ball, and we say this week in, week out. Another broken record, but you talk about the number 1 defense in the nation, limited Texas Southern to 262 yards.
The nation. Not Metro Jackson, not Mississippi, not the South, not the Southwestern Athletic Conference, not Division I AA, the nation. Number 1 defense in the nation, Chuck. Some of Auburn Miller's stats where tackles were missing and working with Texas Southern to get that fixed, but he and Cameron Silman were right there in the double digits in tackles, and they just couldn't move the ball. And we're going to get into tonight's game and show you how that same blueprint is there for today.
No doubt about it. Well, about this time, we always bring in our analysts on the coaching staff, Brandon Morton, who always does a tremendous job of breaking down the opposition. But I tell you what, you talk about doing a great job last week in terms of stopping that Texas Southern offense. I can't say enough about the defense because Andrew Body for Texas Southern is one of the more dynamic players in the SWAC, and then for him to do what he was able to do, for the defense to do what they were able to do last week was tremendous. So definitely wanted to point out the defense for what they were able to do. Brandon, welcome into the pregame show, brother.
What's going on, fellas? You guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Well, we got this Alabama A&M team today here in Mobile. Tell us a little bit about what you've seen from A&M on field.
So Alabama A&M is pretty tricky because, as you know, for the first half of the season, offensively, they've been playing 2 quarterbacks, So we noticed that with Quincy Casey, as we know from last year, he's been getting more snaps as the season progresses. And he's a pass-first guy. So defensively, we're aware that it's kind of the indicators are when you see Langford in the game, be heavy indicators on for the run, mostly running. And then when you see 8 come in the game, Quincy Casey, be ready for the pass game. So all they got to do is just basically keep everything in front of them. When we run the ball, make sure we just game tackling, everybody getting to the ball and doing your job. And the key thing to this game, too, that we want to see is our special component. You know, Coach Prime always asks us for special team to be special. And outside of our kickers, you know, we got automatic with G-Baby and Mata. They're automatic. But as far as the other phases of kickoff team, kick return, we still haven't yet to reach that part of the game where we know we can, as far as returning things to the house and getting more blocks.
Yeah.
Those things.
No doubt.
Yeah, when you talk about Brandon, again, appreciate you coming on, Coach Morton, being with us.
Sure.
You are our game day guy, man. Like, you know, we appreciate you coming in and taking us around the world to your family overseas at that. And do me one more favor, man. Say Carolina for me. I love the way you say Carolina.
Carolina.
Yeah, there you go. I can't say it like I'm from there, you know. But when you talk about those quarterbacks, one thing I'm looking forward to, Brandon, is whichever quarterback is in the game, it's pretty remarkable that one has 5 interceptions, the other one has 5 interceptions. You know, 8 games played, but they got 5 interceptions apiece. And that's against defenses that really don't stack up to ours. So one of the things I think our guys got to keep in mind, I mean, you hit it on the head. One is primarily a passer, one is primarily a runner. But when either one of them are in the game, hey, man, look for a turnover because these guys fumble and these guys throw the ball away.
Yes, sir. So Coach Prime always tells us, hey, believe what you see on film. And I know it's kind of hard because you want to keep your guys humble and modest and say, hey, it's a big game with everybody's Super Bowl. So people are going to try to do things outside of their norm. And that kind of plays to our advantage because if guys throw turnovers and give the ball up, and you try to do things outside of your game, it gives you more room for error. So if we capitalize on those mistakes and have these guys running to the ball and capitalize on these opportunities, I mean, the sky's the limit for this defense today. And as you know, we have the #1 defense, not just in the SWAC, not in the FCS, but in the nation. And the last game, we kind of, I wouldn't say took a step back, but we didn't go to our expectations. So this game, I think 45, Aubrey Miller, and all those guys, 7, Cam Silman, DT has them riled up to get back on track and completing their mission as far as preventing points. I know you guys in our meetings all the time, DT, the first thing he tells them is, hey, what is our #1 goal? And that's to prevent points.
Yeah.
When that's not happening, you can kind of feel that, oh, man, everybody gets that look like, hey, we let them down. But the thing about this game is we always have the next week to update our resume and accomplish our goals.
No doubt. You know, Brandon, I wanted to ask, and I took down some notes just from the meeting last night. Coach Matthews, communication.
He lying, Brandon. He don't be taking notes. I used to be in class with him at Jackson State.
Hey, man, don't make that shit on me, man.
I almost said the N-word, man. That joker don't take no notes, man. He copied off somebody. Go ahead with the notes that you copied off somebody. Go right.
And talk about communication, making sure everybody is on the same page. Eye discipline, consistency was a theme that kept coming up with each coach. But just talk a little bit about what it is you guys have been instilling in this team all week and preparing for A&M.
So the thing about consistency is everything you ever wanted in life has to come from consistency, making that next play. And the guys who win championships, the teams who are successful, are the people who can go out and dominate each and every snap. We tell these guys, hey, play by play, win your rep. Win your rep. You win a rep, and you're only as good as your last play. So we don't get caught in, hey, we get a big turnover, the game's over. No, we strain and we strive till the clock hits 0 in that fourth quarter. So getting those guys to understand to be poised and distinctive. Be poised, you make your play, that's what you're supposed to do. That's your job. That's why we brought you here at Jackson State. If you're on defense, your job is to get the ball back to the offense. So we're just doing that consistently, and those are the teams you see who at the end of the day hold up that national championship trophy. And that's our main goal. That's the only goal we have. So I know we're 9-0, and that's great. That's a good thing, but the mission is not done. Michigan.
No, it's not. You know, Coach
on
Markson always talks about they remember November, and one of the key things that is you can look at teams that go 0-3 in say September, and then win the next 8, and they're looked at one of the greatest teams ever. Well, you can have a team win 8 in a row and then drop 3 in November, and they're looked at as a bust. But it's the same record, you know. And so these games, when you get to this part of the season, just kind of intuitively mean more because you're trying to accomplish something. And with us being 9-0, today's victory clinches the SWAC East, and we will be hosting. But we're still not done because we want to go undefeated regular season. We want to win the SWAC championship, and you want to win the Celebration Bowl. So as we inch along the way, you guys are telling them the right thing that, yes, celebrate and remember that feeling, but we're on to the next one because we're nowhere near done. And you remember that Celebration Bowl last year, how we felt coming off that field because we didn't finish.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, like I always say, I tell the guys, create the hype, but don't believe it. The hype's not real. Yeah, everybody's on our backs today. Everybody's cheering for us. But the more you win, the more people come to see you lose. So we don't, all the outside noise, we keep our blinders on. We focus on our mission because, like you say, these times are in November. The teams kind of know who they are. So the teams know they have a chance to get into a championship or get into a playoff. They capitalize on that. And so everything's right in front of us. And this is when it takes that keen eye focus to say, hey, now the margin for error is slimming every time. It's slimming and slimming. So if you just do our job, and that's why we always reiterate consistency. The consistency is the answer to all the problems. You want to win the games, keep being consistent. Do what you're supposed to do.
Brandon, I got to tell you something about the fans that believe in the hype. I bumped into a couple of our players last evening, well before curfew. They were out taking a stroll around the park. And one of the guys, to be nameless on the show, said, man, Coach, I'm heading in. I'm tired of taking pictures of people. I said, there's a solution to that. He said, what's that? I said, stop winning.
Exactly.
They want to take a picture with you because you're a winner. Like if you either stay in the room or stop winning, you ain't got to worry about nobody asking for an autograph, picture, or NIL because this only is happening because of how we're performing. And if we keep performing this way, it's going to keep going up and up. Brandon, before you get out of here, you talked about that contrast, things that we do well that they do poorly, and that we can capitalize on. One of the things that caught my attention when you look at the defense they play, everyone knows that our standard is high on defense. But we on the season have like 63 missed tackle opportunities where you had the guy but didn't get it down. Alabama A&M has 113 missed tackles. How are we looking and telling our guys, keeping their legs moving, wrap up that ball to take advantage of their sometimes poor or sloppy tackling?
So the opportunities are endless today. Like you said, we have teams who have those missed tackled opportunities, or they're easily to be tackled. So as far as offensively, Savion Wilkinson, I always tell them, stay low, violent knee drive. You drive your knees, and people automatically, that's one thing I love about seeing Savion carry the ball, is that you kind of see the look on those defenders' faces, especially the linebackers and safeties. Once they see him come through that hole a couple of times and they feel that violence, that look, the next time he gets the ball, you kind of see them put their head down and like,
Yeah.
It's
put
like
their head down like, man,
runs.
they do not like tackling it. And so I try to tell them,
couple runs, they try to tackle him in front. By the time you get to the second quarter, you see them tackling from the side, trying to tackle from behind, because those violent knees and those low shoulders, man, they don't want it.
Yeah,
you don't want those problems.
They try to hitch that ride. The ride, let them pass you. You try to grab hold. So that's why I tell him, hey, violent knee drive on contact, because a lot of the time the defenders, when they see you, they don't want to tackle you up high. And if you're already low, they can't see your numbers, and you're driving your feet. That eliminates you getting tripped and falling over. When your feet are low and you're cutting the grass, somebody grabs your foot, it's easy for you to go down.
Yeah.
If you have that violent knee drive, you're driving, those little things as far as leg tackle and wrapping up, it makes it that much harder,
Yeah, and we saw that last week. It looked like Savion was stopped on one run, but he was able to bust out of there and ran for a long touchdown. But like you said, violent knee drive. He is a tremendous runner for this Jackson State offense, and he just brings he's a tremendous asset. Just tremendous asset when you take a look at the fact that you have to prepare for both. You got to prepare for the passing game. You got to prepare for the running game as well.
Oh yeah, it keeps it even balance, and that's what I love. The thing about it is, I try to tell our quarterbacks too, if you want the passing game to open up, we all know we have to have a solid running game. You have to keep them even, keep them honest. So and that's the thing that kind of makes his team different from last year. Is last year everybody kind of really played 7-on-7 because they knew we had to throw the ball. Our offensive line wasn't as strong as these guys we have now. And we had great running backs last year too, but the fact that we can run the ball now it makes it to where you have to play honest. And the defense, now they're at our mercy. They're at the mercy of us now. We can do whatever we want. So
there is no mercy. This is Mortal Kombat. Finish them. Flawless victory. Brandon, as always, man, we appreciate you coming on, brother. We will see you in a little while because, as Coach Prime says, Neely don't miss no meals. So I'm coming to the lunch. I will see you at lunch.
Okay.
Now, I will tell you this, Brandon. I wait till Coach get up and leave and turn his head before I get my second plate because he tried to guilt trip me.
Listen, you know he stay with some jokes now.
Oh, he stay with the one-liner. So. But we see you in a little while, brother, man. We appreciate you as always, man.
Yeah, yes, sir. I appreciate y'all. Much love.
Much love. Brandon Morton, analyst for our Jackson State football team. Great assistant coach. He is an up-and-comer within this industry. I tell you what, Neely, as we get ready to close this out, you take a look at Alabama A&M. They've lost 2 in a row. They lost the Turkey Day Classic. I'm sorry, not the Turkey Day Classic, but the Majesty Classic to Alabama State 24-17. They're coming off of a loss to Mississippi Valley. 30-20, that game was on national TV. But when you take a look at them, offensively, they averaged 20.9 points per game, 369 yards of total offense. Defensively, they're allowing 34 points per game and 381 yards total that they're giving up. So there are some opportunities today for this Jackson State offense.
A lot of opportunities, man. And recapping what you just said, their past 4 games, 37 points against Grambling, 34 points UAPB. They won those 2, 24 points against Alabama State, 20 points against Valley, 17 against Alabama State, 20 against Valley. They lost those 2. When you look at that scoring output by them, 37, 34, 17, or 20, neither one of those scores will they get today. So they're going to fall below that average, well below it. Another guy I bumped into last night asked about the game. He said, well, look, man, I'm just going to cut to the chase. Vegas got us by 21, but we're going to cover that.
Well, cover.
We're gonna cover that. So he said that's all I need to walk off. So hey, I don't gamble, but you can gamble with my picks. So Chuck, here's the bottom line of things we touched on with Brandon. There are just some things, man, that we do so much better than they do, and that's what's fueling this opportunity for this game. Here's a team coming in 2 games lost. Here's a team that knows they're totally out of the SWAC East. So they're in that deceleration phase, because their season is pretty much a wrap. They could win their next 2 and they don't catch up.
Right.
So some guys dial it back. It's just instinctively because you have nothing to play for.
Yeah.
Now what they do have to play for is to be that team that can beat Jackson State.
Sure.
So we're going to get, as Coach Prime said, we're good live and we're going to get some Davids. I just don't think from a personnel standpoint that they have what it takes to get it done against us. Coach Maynard, he went out there and tried Coach Prime formula with some transfers, and frankly, they missed. They have not had the production from those transfers, those big names. Because remember this, Chuck, during the spring now, right after National Signing Day, everybody was talking about, oh, man, A&M got a class just like Jackson State did. And I said then, if you got them, which I question, if you got them, can you coach them? Can you scheme them? Can you get them in the right place to do what they do? Because, Chuck, you could take the world's greatest 17-year-old sculptor. He's a Power 5 sculptor. And you can say, hey, go play with Coach Neely. Let me tell you what's going to happen. He's going to be a horrible damn sculptor. I can't teach somebody how to sculpt. Now, he came to me talented, Chuck, but he ain't finna get no better because that ain't what I do. So I saw them get an influx of talent, but you haven't heard those guys' names in the weekly awards. It hasn't been reflected in the records and the wins and losses. Now they get to play literally the best team in the SWAC, the best defense in the nation. I don't think they're built to understand it.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough road to hoe if you're an Alabama A&M fan for the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. On paper, Anyway, I always say on paper.
Yeah, we got to play on the field.
You got to play it on the field, but on paper, Jackson State is the more talented team, if you will. But like you mentioned, there's a David around every corner, and nothing would make a team's season than to knock off this Jackson State football team.
Especially this team.
Especially
their coach, Chuck. I know, Chuck, you want to take the high road. And the Mike Tirico of this thing, maybe the Charles Barkley. One of us got to say the stuff that nobody else wants to say. I'll say it. Man, the humble pie that their coach now talks with this year. Now, this is the same guy during that spring season celebrating that COVID championship who said, well, maybe we need to get more Power Fives. This is the same guy who, during a major health crisis, joked about, I wish Coach Bryant could bring me a scooter. And this is the same guy who got 61 points put up on him. And now he sees what we're doing to everybody else. And he also sees what he ain't been able to do to nobody else. He ain't coming to the ring like Apollo did with Rocky no more. He coming to the ring with his head down a little bit, hat in his hand. You know what's out there, Chuck. Like, these guys watch our film just like we watch theirs. They know where their depth and talent and their schemes stack up against. They also know you ain't 9-0 on accident. You're not shutting out a team like Southern, zeroing them on the board by accident. You're not number one defense in the nation by accident. You don't have a quarterback in the Heisman running conversations by accident. You don't have a running back that's getting 1,000 yards this season by accident. This team is built for moments like this. Let's see if they live up to the moment. I believe they will.
I believe they will as well. Looking forward to this 4 o'clock kickoff. It is the Gulf Coast Challenge.
The rain stop, Chuck.
Rain stop. It's going to be nice today. Shout out to the city of Mobile. They have rolled out the red carpet for both of these teams. Carl Cunningham, Grand Marshal of the Gulf Coast Challenge. Carl Cunningham.
I saw him last night and asked him where his thing with the horns were, because I was calling him the Grand Poobah in the Gulf Coast Classic. I said, you're not the Grand Marshal, you're the Grand Poobah. Where's the Moose Lodge at?
No doubt about it.
The concert that they had downtown, the second line, the parades, just the atmosphere. Mobile has done the first class job. I couldn't have done without that luncheon. I know you ain't gonna say it, Chuck, but I expect my Alfredo to have some Alfredo sauce on it. It was like chewing a pack of ramen noodles that stole out of Sack and Save. It's just eating it raw. No, did y'all boil the noodles? Did you put any water on? Come on, man.
Oh, what would we do without the Neelyism? What would we do without the Neelyism?
I don't even know if the cheesecake was actually good. It was just so much damn better than everything else. I enjoyed that. Yeah. Hey, man, Chuck, if you don't tell the people the truth, how they going to fix these problems? So, hey, man. So instead of $5 a plate for the next Gulf Coast Classic, man, go ahead, charge $9. Get some sauce. Chuck, I took the top off the pepper and just used it. We got to get some seasoning, man. I think colonizers cook this, but the seasoning.
Nothing like a colonizer shout out. Speaking of shout outs, let me shout out Jeremiah Brown's mom. She came up and spoke to me last night. So, Miss Brown, thank you for acknowledging the pregame show. Really appreciate that. Jeremiah Brown, one of the young up-and-comers on the defensive side of the ball. Young man really gets after it. I believe 2 sacks last week against Texas Southern. But every week we're calling out Jeremiah Brown's name in terms of what he's able to do.
And I'm going to call his name out again. JB, I love you, brother. I sit right behind you in team meetings. Watch Chuck on your mama. Don't let Chuck around your mama, man. You better keep out there. Keep out on your mama, dog. And speaking of keeping an eye, Chuck, some players to watch. Number 7, the running back. He's gonna get a carry the loads. Donovan Eaglin. He's one of their premier runners. Doesn't really bring something to the table we haven't faced running game wise. And then look for number 12 and number 10. They look for them on screens and down the field. So if Alabama A&M's to have some production, I'm looking at number 7, Donovan Eaglin, wide receiver number 10, Cox, and number 12, I forget his name, but he's one of those guys they try to go to. They mostly work out of 11 personnel, Chuck, and probably about 62% of that time they're passing, around 40% or so they're running. But they have some giveaways that this team is ready for. But I think what's going to have to happen for them to try to separate is some trickery because lineup, man-to-man, talent to talent, depth to depth. we would wear them down first or second quarter, and it starts to get away, much like we did for their homecomings. But they got some athletes. You know, we joke and tease, but those guys, like I always say, they got a weight room. They got 45-pound plates. They got scholarships. They got guys who want to go pro and working hard every day. So you can't take anybody for granted. But I still just say, Chuck, at the end of the day, 11 on 11, whichever unit is out there, our depth and our talent, we ain't 9-0. It ain't a fluke.
It ain't a fluke. It ain't a fluke, like you mentioned. Like you said, you take them one at a time. I think this is going to be a good day for our Jackson State Tigers. Coming into this game, Quincy Case of Alabama A&M, 941 yards passed, 5 touchdowns. You mentioned it, Donovan Eaglin. He's rushed for 651 yards and 5 touchdowns on the season.
Chuck, you so nice. You so nice. You mentioned that quarterback stats, and you said them 5 touchdowns, but you didn't say them 5 interceptions.
Yeah, he does have 5 interceptions as well. So.
Yeah. So if this were basketball and you had 15 turnovers and 15 assists, your ass would be on the bench.
Point taken.
Yeah, Point taken. You know, and that's why I think that if we pin our ears back and we play eye discipline, don't bite on fakes and be aware of screens. I think not only can we get some turnovers today, I think we can score off said turnovers.
Yeah. I think so as well. And again, special teams, we haven't had a house call yet, so that's another something to keep an eye out for today with regards to getting that special teams up and going, see if we can get a punt return or a kick return. But one thing before we got out here, I wanted to mention, and the coaches really stressed this, you touched on a little bit because you're expecting a little bit of trickery, but eye discipline from the defense, making sure you know your assignment, where you're supposed to be, and not getting caught off guard. So that's another little sticky note that I had here in my note-taking session, Neely.
Yeah, copying off somebody's paper, what they call it. And Chuck, speaking of that eye discipline and things to note, our guys need to remember we're more talented. Well, Neely, what do you mean by that? I don't have to hold you. So holding creates a penalty. I don't have to give away a big game by grabbing a guy that I can just move my feet on and out technique. You know, when you're more talented, when you're a defensive back that's more talented than the wide receiver that you're covering, there's no need for pass interference. Pass interference happens when you got to do that extra something because the guy got you. We don't have to, our offensive line does not have to hold for Savion to get free. Our defensive backs do not have to get a PI to break up a pass. So it's those little things we got to look at. And here's one final parting shot, Chuck, that stats off with the stats off. This is the most penalized team in the SWAC.
Good point.
And they have 9 unsportsmanlike penalties. Yeah. So expect some BS. Expect a punch in the pile. Expect a grab of a face mask. What we got to do is not react to it. Because it's that second guy and his reaction. It's that second guy and his reaction that normally gets the flag. So these guys, who they are, culturally and discipline-wise, you know, you're not getting that many penalties with 9 on being unsportsman, and that's a fluke. Just like I say about our score and our defense. That many penalties and 9 on unsportsmanlike in 8 games played, it ain't an accident, Chuck.
It ain't an accident. Well, hopefully our fan base has gotten their notes. Because Neely, obviously, you've been listening to their film wrong, right? Bring that out for the fan base.
Know, Coach Prime will tell you when he gives you something, you expect something. And Neely gonna eat. So this is my way of paying for these bills.
No doubt about it, man. No better place to put a pin in today. 4 o'clock kickoff here in Mobile, Alabama. Jackson State 9-0, taking on the 3-6 Alabama A&M Bulldogs.
I ain't letting you out here that easy, Chuck. 30 more seconds, like you always put it on me. I need your prediction. Give me the score.
I think Jackson State can put 45. I think they can put 45 up today, and I look for the defense to give up 3. 45-3 is my score.
I'm going to go with you on that, but I'm going over 45. I think this is a game we get into the 50s. So give me 56, and that means give me 6 from them, 2 field goals, but the spread is 50 points. I believe.
There it is. There you have it. Well, I tell you what, you have all your notes, Tiger fan base. It's time to go out and go do what we do. 4 o'clock kickoff, Jackson State, Alabama A&M. You know how we get out here. Wait a second. Neely, any parting words from the old wise one?
You know, this is where you look for my perversion and antics, but I already gave you that earlier because she kicked her leg up over here and talked about assets. So I don't have to go out of here with any lewd See, that's why you laugh, because you know I'm gonna do it. So it's like spring baseball called the Grapefruit League. You throw in underhand pitches because you want it. You, in the words of Colonel Nathan Jessup, you want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. So I'm not gonna do it, Chuck. Go Tigers. I'm not gonna bite the hook. We're just gonna get out of here with some sense of decorum.
There we go. There we go. You know how we close this thing out. We got a team by golly. We're going to fight by golly. We're going to win by golly. And there it is until Wednesday when we review Alabama A&M and look forward to Alcorn. It is the pregame show. It is Bishop Neely here on the Black College Sports Network. There it is. We out of here.
If it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and for all those who's listening and watching it from around the world. And we are now live from the corner of Dalton and Lynch Street. It's the show where we take you inside the game before the game begins. It's the Pregame. With your host, Charles Bishop and Neely. So get ready, because we pregame harder than the other show's party. It's the Pregame.